What's good? Brian Tong here, and we get a look inside the iPhone 17 Pro with a teardown. Apple blames the MagSafe chargers for scratching the iPhone, and details behind the scenes on Apple's Chatbot app and Siri revamp. But let's start with the eye candy, and it's always cool to see a teardown of the iPhone 17 Pro thanks to the good people at iFixit. It just gives you an appreciation of how intricate building a phone really is, instead of just bitching about something the majority of us could never dream of or build if we tried. There were some interesting revelations here. I talked about how Apple had a new way of housing the battery in the 17 Pro in my review, and now we get to see how it's attached to its own tray, which is held in by screws and makes it easier to replace. But also, if you want to, you can pull out the battery separately. It uses Apple's electrically debonding adhesive, and iFixit pulled it off as well. Some other notes to make: that the battery tray also rests on top of the A19 Pro chip, which has Apple's vapor chamber cooling system connected to it. And yes, Android phones had a vapor cooling system first. The iPhone 17 Pro is a less repairable design compared to the 16 Pro that had a dual entry design to repair either from the front or the back of the iPhone. iFixit found replacing the USB-C port requires moving 22 screws, which is obviously a pain in the ass. They came to the conclusion that the 17 Pro is also slightly less repairable than the iPhone Air, but it's a fun look inside to see how these mini computers in our pocket are designed, and it is still incredible to me. Now, in my last video, we talked about Apple's Scratchgate, and one of the things I talked about was how beat up some of the phones looked like at Apple stores on display. And I still stand by my earlier statement that a lot of you are just animals at the Apple store. Apple told 9to5Mac that worn MagSafe charging stands in store are causing the marks that we have seen all over the 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max. Apple says those MagSafe marks are not scratches, but instead material transferring from the stands to the phones, and the marks are removable if you clean and wipe them down. Now, Apple said that they will fix the problem in Apple stores, and the company says other models like the iPhone 16 are also affected, but no one noticed that. Still, that doesn't change that the camera plateau is more vulnerable because of the anodization process that cannot bond well to sharper corner edges, which is exactly what the plateau has. Now, your iPhone, it's going to get wear and tear on it over time, but you can protect it a whole lot better thanks to the sponsor of this video, Dbrand. You know Dbrand for their cases, and this right here, this is their new tank case for the iPhone 17 Pro and Air. I have it here on this cosmic orange Pro, and you can see, right, the color accents peek out in this design. This is obviously a rugged case design with all of its intricate tactical design inspired details, which might be even polarizing for some, but it easily protects the camera plateau here, and you even get that extra ridge around it for more protection. Now, it has strong magnets built in, but if you use the Air version of this case, Apple's official MagSafe battery accessory isn't fully flush with it because of its design. I do like how clicky, if you can hear that, how clicky and easy Dbrand's case buttons are. But this is a case that's going to protect your phone. And what complements this case, you got to check out their Prism 2.0 screen protector. It's an ultra premium glass protector that comes with an idiot-proof solution to install on your own. Put it in the holder, pull the tab down here, slide your finger down the middle, and wait a few seconds to let it set. Then remove it by pulling back from the top, and voila, you can work out those air bubbles a little, but they'll go away in time, within hours, and you'll end up with a phone that's protected on the front, and then pop on one of their cases. Like, this is a great protective combo for your new iPhone 17 Pro or iPhone Air. So use my unique code BRIANTONG and check out the link in the description of this video to get 42% off on the Prism screen protector when you bundle it with a Dbrand tank, ghost, or grip case. All right, let's get back to the stories. And you know Apple has to be aware of the Wi-Fi dropping out on iPhone 17 models occasionally. I am positive this is a thing after confirming it with multiple people that have had the same experience. Another issue has popped up with some iPhone 17 models. There's a bug that appears to be preventing some users from being able to download Apple Intelligence on their new iPhone 17 devices. It's affecting a small amount of users, but it's preventing people from using features like Genmoji and Image Playground and writing tools at all because they are inaccessible if you plan on using those. Now, Apple staff is reportedly aware of this issue and planning to address the bug, and they should also fix that Wi-Fi issue alongside of it at the same time. There are some fixes that seem to work, like turning off cellular and use Wi-Fi, or change the iPhone's language and then change it back, or wipe your iPhone and reinstall it from an iCloud backup. But none of those options are as good as it just working. So hopefully this issue and others get addressed sooner rather than later. All right, let's piggyback off of the Apple Intelligence talk earlier. And Bloomberg's Mark Gurman has been reporting over the past few months that Apple has been working on their own ChatGPT-like experience. In fact, Apple even tried to launch its own chatbot last year using their own in-house models, but that would have been another Apple Intelligence train wreck based on what it was capable of at that time. Now, Gurman reported back in August that Apple formed a new team called Answers, Knowledge, and Information, or AKI for short, to build products for retrieving general knowledge. So if you've tried even asking some basic questions to Siri, there are times, more often than not, that you won't get a result without going outside of Siri. It's been so bad that I pretty much just stopped using Siri for most things, and many of us have given up using it for anything information related. Apple is making a push now to solve this with a revamped Siri called Project Linwood. Gurman says it's scheduled to debut as early as March, and it will completely overhaul Siri's infrastructure by combining with an external model, most likely Google's Gemini, according to the report, with Apple's own technology from their Foundation's model group. That would be a big move for both sides, and the admission that Apple needs help. I've called for them to join forces with Google's Gemini for a while, and they can still hold onto their privacy fundamentals at the same time if it's using those models, but everything is done on device. Not only will this bring a significantly improved web search, Project Linwood will also reportedly unlock some of the features that Apple originally planned for, like connecting the dots with the data on your device to be more personal, and also answering questions based on your on-screen content, something Google Gemini has already been doing. Now, internally, Apple employees have been testing their chatbot app, asking questions and having back and forth conversations. Gurman reports Apple is not trying to release their own chatbot, but using it to test how well the new Siri will work. It does remain to be seen how exactly that Siri interaction might be. Will it be the same but smarter, or different and smarter, or just kind of there and still not that great? There are a segment of users that have really become more comfortable with the idea of communicating with a chatbot. Those are those tech-savvy and tech-curious people who eat this stuff up. But then there's the rest of the consumer base who doesn't even know or really care about a chatbot right now. Look beyond the bubble that we're in. It's the fact. And that's the consumer that Apple is really catering to these days, right? The mainstream consumer. So we'll see how they approach it, but it hasn't stopped people from showing up for the iPhone 17 lineup release, because Apple just had the grand reopening of their iconic Ginza store in Japan. It was the first retail store in Japan more than 2 decades ago, and I was there just a few months ago while it was still going through its new facelift, but reportedly thousands of people came for the new store opening and the fall launch. You know, the situation reminds me that the tech world can be screaming, right? Apple doesn't have a good enough AI platform. It's behind. And you know what? It's true. And it's important to point out. And at the same time, thousands of people are showing up to a store opening and product launch. Not hundreds, but thousands. And I still know of a single brand that can do that after all these years. You know, Nintendo, they might be the closest. And no, I'm not going to include trends like Labubu's that are the reincarnation of Beanie Babies, but, you know, with an Asian twist. And yes, they are their own thing. Yes, it is different. I have one, but we've seen this trend before. And now one more story that I love seeing. On the most recent Friday Night Baseball broadcast on Apple TV, they used live game footage that was captured on the iPhone 17 Pro in the broadcast between the Tigers and Red Sox at Fenway Park. 4 iPhones were used in total in the dugouts, one from inside the legendary Green Monster, and one that was roaming around the ballpark. The cameras were all using products that you can get today with the free Blackmagic camera app running on all of them. They were recording at 1080p at 59.94 frames per second, and the cameras would be rolling for the entirety of the game. And yes, 1080p is what the majority of broadcasts are output at, and they aren't trying to send every household a true 4K image right now. The broadcast directly took their live shots when they wanted to, and they also used an iPad remotely to change exposure and white balance when needed. I need them to bring this to the MLS because I love my football. Come on, Sonny, let's go LAFC, but we need more camera angles and shots in those games, flat out. But this is a great step forward, and I don't know about you, but Apple and Blackmagic, are they getting really friendly? And I wouldn't be surprised if Apple scooped them up eventually. Something is cooking there. That's all I'm saying. All right, that's going to do it for this video. If you like what you see, give me that thumbs up, subs up, and hit that notification bell, ding, to get all my latest videos when they drop. And if you want more of that Apple goodness, you can check out my weekly Apple Bits XL audio podcast with the latest stories and special guests. Plus, you can support all my content with an ad-free version of the podcast, early access to my content, and exclusive content at patreon.com/BrianTong. That's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. Peace and love.